What would you do if your family continuously made you feel like second best, only to then try and take away your dreams? In today's story, the protagonist's choice is a masterclass in how to handle it. From the earliest days of my childhood, I, Elara, always harbored a quiet suspicion that my mother, Eleanor, held a distinct preference for my older sister, Serafina. This wasn't just a fleeting thought. It was a pervasive undercurrent in our family dynamic. As we grew up, Eleanor would shower Serafina with every whim and desire. Whatever Serafina wanted, she got. And whenever Serafina and I would inevitably argue, Eleanor would consistently take Serafina's side, accepting her version of events without question, leaving me feeling unheard and undervalued. It felt as though I was perpetually relegated to second place in Eleanor's affections. The disparities were often stark and painful. For instance, when I turned 16, a milestone moment for any teenager, I was handed the keys to my Aunt Beatrice's ancient, clunky car, a vehicle that, true to its nature, sputtered its last breath within a mere 6 months. Yet, when Serafina celebrated her 16th birthday, she received the car of her dreams, a brand new, gleaming red Volkswagen. Another vivid memory that stung was when Eleanor abruptly informed me that I could no longer continue my piano lessons, citing their escalating cost. This decision came while she continued to fully support Serafina's extensive dance lessons, competitions, and all the associated expenses. The quiet resentment simmered for years, but things truly began to unravel about a decade ago. Back in high school, I had fallen deeply in love with a charming boy named Julian. We dated for a significant period, and he was my first true love, the kind that feels all-consuming and eternal. Our relationship, however, came to a shattering halt when Julian inexplicably dumped me. The reason? He preferred Serafina. My own sister had, in a cruel twist of fate, seduced him. This betrayal, from both Julian and Serafina, utterly broke me. The wound festered, and to add salt to it, Serafina and Julian eventually married after their college graduation. It was after their wedding that the situation deteriorated from bad to truly unbearable. Eleanor had her will drafted, and the revelation was a punch to the gut. She was leaving everything, absolutely everything, to Serafina. For context, our childhood home was a 2-story building. The ground floor housed Eleanor's beloved flower shop, a place filled with vibrant colors and fragrant blooms, while the second floor was the apartment where Serafina and I had grown up. Despite the strained relationships with Eleanor and Serafina, I had always cherished that flower shop. I had practically grown up in its aisles, working there for most of my life, learning the business from the ground up. It wasn't just a shop, it was my dream to one day own it, to nurture it and make it my own. But instead, Eleanor intended to bequeath the entire property, the building, the flower shop, and the apartment, to Serafina. This meant that while I could still work in the shop, my dream of ownership would be crushed. Serafina would be the proprietor, and I would be relegated to taking orders from her, living under her authority in a place I had always considered my own. There was no point in even attempting to persuade Eleanor to reconsider. In her eyes, Serafina was the married one, the one with a baby on the way, and therefore, the one who needed the business and the house to raise her burgeoning family. Meanwhile, I was single and, in Eleanor's cold assessment, had nothing. This reveals Eleanor's greatest fatal flaw, her blatant favoritism and inability to see beyond traditional societal expectations, which ultimately sealed her fate in our relationship. The realization was a stark, bitter pill to swallow. If Eleanor didn't consider me a member of her family, then I wanted absolutely nothing to do with any of them anymore. It was painfully clear who she favored, and I couldn't bear to be around that constant reminder of my perceived inadequacy. So, I made the decision to cut them off entirely. I packed my bags, moved out of my childhood home, and set out on my own. Less than a year later, seeking a complete break and a fresh start, I joined the Peace Corps and have been living abroad ever since. As one insightful commenter, Malachi 9:26, put it, your mom essentially disowned you. She deserves nothing from you at all. And your sister is very much in the wrong here too. Like for allowing your mom to shower her with everything and to give you nothing. Not to mention wooing your boyfriend from you and marrying him, which is an incredibly shitty thing to do to you. I can't even believe these people are so clueless and so heartless. Good for you for carving out your own life. You owe them absolutely nothing. Now, to the present day. After years of silence, with not a single word exchanged, Serafina suddenly found me on social media and reached out. She expressed a desire to talk, to somehow rekindle whatever semblance of a relationship we once had. My response was immediate and unequivocal: no. I told her directly that I never wanted to speak to her or have anything to do with her or Eleanor ever again. The moment I sent that message, a furious reply came back from her. She launched into an angry tirade, demanding to know how I could possibly do this to her, why I would turn my back on her. Serafina made a foolish decision at that moment, completely unaware that this single act would lead to the permanent severing of any potential future connection. But as far as I was concerned, she wasn't my family. She hadn't been family for an entire decade. My true family now consisted of my loving partner, Liam, and our beautiful baby daughter, Dahlia. I had meticulously built a new, happier, and far more fulfilling life in South Africa than anything I had ever experienced back in the States. The thought of seeing my old family again, after all the emotional scars they had inflicted, filled me with dread. I couldn't bear the thought of them meeting Dahlia. I harbored a deep fear that if I allowed them back into my life, they would inevitably ruin the peaceful and joyful existence I had painstakingly created for myself. As Kitty Tigress succinctly observed, "You found peace and love elsewhere instead of with them. No need to drag up all that toxicity again if you're in a good place." Another commenter astutely pointed out, "It sounds like your sister wanted something from you. Maybe she wanted you to come back and work in the shop, maybe she wanted money, but her reaction definitely tells me that she wanted to get something from you. My conscience is clear. I am not being too harsh. The core lesson here is that sometimes, walking away from toxic relationships, even familial ones, is the only way to truly find peace and happiness." Have you ever had to cut ties with someone? And how did it impact your life?